Okay, this video is about doing a little bit of maintenance on the wagon here. Due for state inspection, and something's wrong. The driver's side exhaust system is real loose, and come to find out that there's a broken hanger right in front of the rear axle there. So I've got to change that. I occasionally get a check engine code about the EGR valve, and that lives way back there between the firewall and the intake manifold. So we're going to take that out and clean it up more, see if it needs to be cleaned anyway. That's the first step in seeing what's wrong. So what we're looking at here for the EGR valve, right there you can see the fuel rail pressure regulator, and right there you see that tube right there. That is the probably the exhaust in, and this is the EGR valve. Camera's not picking it up well, but you see those two bolts. Those are the ones we've got to get to, and according to the service manual, those are the only two holding it on. It should come straight out after that. Okay, well, I've cleaned it as best I could, and it's not very dirty here. This is the little valve right here, and it's actuated by this big vacuum cylinder. And you can see there's a vacuum port for it right here. And so when the engine calls for it, it puts vacuum on this diaphragm, and it actually pulls this valve back, and it actually opens that. See that little plunger going down? The exhaust comes in that port and then goes into the intake that way. And that's how, regulating the vacuum to this actuator is how it regulates exhaust going into the intake. This little valve here, when pressed down, can rotate. It's loose fitting. By pushing this down, it takes a second to come back. It's free turning, which is good because that allows it to self-lap the seat. So anytime that it can turn in there, so hopefully it'll grind down any accumulation. But I've sprayed some chemicals on there. I've taken my little, I call it a contact lens remover, but it's a little hook around the inside of the seat there to scratch to see if there's anything in there. There isn't. So we can probably put this back with no problems, and it's freely actuating. The spring pressure is good, so the hardware end of things for the EGR valve are fine. Alright, so the EGR is back on, all the fluids are checked in good, so we're done under the hood. Next I'm going to put snow tires on. There is absolutely no magic to changing a tire on a car. I'm up with my hydraulic jack. I got a jack stand underneath the frame. Make sure it doesn't fall. This is a summer tire. It's a BF Goodrich Radial TA, and it's a 235/70R15, which is illegal in the state of Maine because the OEM tire is smaller. These are wider because this LT1 just spins the rears too easily. But while we're in here, before we actually pop on the new tire, got to grease everything that's alive in here, so ball joints, front end and stuff, so that'll be just a second. Alright, throwing the new wheels on are easy. Everything underneath is greased and wipe down anything that was liquidy. These are sedan wheels. They don't normally go in a wagon, but I got them on eBay. I saw 4 wheels with center caps listed for 90 bucks. I said, geez, that's a bargain. I can't afford them because that'd be like 200 bucks normally. So I was going to give the seller a break. I upped the bid just so he'd get a little bit more money. And long story short, I ended up winning them for 94 bucks. So I was in the market for winter tires anyway. So that was a score for me. So I've got just regular, a nice all-season tire, a Yokohama Aegis LS4 mounted up front in an OEM tire size. And in the back I run a studded snow tire. I think they're Snow Kings. But everything's greased up, everything's nice. They're OEM size, so they'll pass state inspection. And I'll bolt this one up, the other front one up, and we'll keep on moving to the back. Okay, so next we are going to deal with the rear end here. First thing we're going to do is fix the exhaust. Now, it's true dual exhaust on this car, which means that each left and right, they don't cross connect. So as you can tell, this thing is shaky. And it's shaky because if you notice in there, oops, it stopped moving, it's loose. And you can see there's a bracket right there, and let me go quickly run to the other side and I'll show you how it's supposed to hook up. On the factory exhaust, there's actually a bracket welded to the muffler, and there are 2 rubber isolators here, and that keeps this muffler from moving. This muffler, as you can tell, is a replacement muffler. It did not come with that mounting, so both of those brackets are actually empty and it's broken. So what I think I'm going to do is take this bracket off, or at least cut it off, and then see if I can weld it a new bracket to that one there and use that as our exhaust hold point. Okay, let me clue you in on what's going on here. This is the metal bracket that actually goes into the rubber grommet. So this is attached to the car body itself, and this was a part that was welded to the muffler. Now, So what I'm going to do for a solution here is I'm actually going to take this bracket and I can rotate it 90 degrees so it sits up and down like this, and I can actually weld it to my muffler clamp right here, so I can actually bond those two together. And so this welding clamp, which will be obviously bolted to the exhaust, will actually be the support. So what I have to do is actually grind this off significantly and do some cleanup work on this clamp here, and I'll be able to weld these two together just like so, actually exactly parallel to each other like that. And so this clamp will act not only as a clamp for the muffler, but it'll also act as the support for the exhaust system. Right, we've got our trusty welder out. We're just about ready to go. I've got it bracketed on this wood piece here. We'll leave it outside tonight, so it might not burn the garage down. I'm going to tack it right here, and maybe throw in a quick tack right there. Then I can re-bracket it and do a real weld. Not pretty, but the grinder will make it pretty. Okay, here's our finished piece. You can see the weld there and there, but it functions. Let's see, it's only a 2-inch clamp, and it's going to be plenty. There's made sure that wasn't going to be a problem for that. So now, in theory, move this up a little bit so it'll fit into the car a little better. And this will hold the muffler. It'll close that exhaust, and it'll also support the exhaust system. So let me go see if this thing will fit. And here's our clamp in its happy home. You can see where the original weld was here and here for the monkey who had installed it originally. So what I've done is I've used this hanger here. It's welded onto my muffler clamp, and now it's better than hanging nowhere. Not as good as having it welded to the muffler, but hey, you know, one battle at a time. So our next project, and hold on a sec, our next project is this beast. Because the LT1 has dual exhaust and the gas tank is in the center of the car, they put this baffling to make sure that the exhaust didn't get near or hot near the tank. So when I changed the fuel pump about a year ago, this didn't go on very well. And so we've lost our piece of shielding that goes right here, and it was fun driving in here, and it's going to fall off, but we're going to rivet it back into place so it'll provide whatever protection it needs up there. So what happened to our panel? It sits under the car like this, in front of the gas tank, and apparently through wind and vibration, a little ear that was here with a bolt that went through it, that fatigued and broke. Same here, another ear broke. Those are on the car now, I got to unbolt them off. And then this one here is actually some sort of weld or glue or whatever. I held this up on there, and so the ear is still there, but this broke off. So the 3 connecting points of this metal piece were broken. So I'm going to take some scrap metal and build a big L. So we'll attach it to the panel here and fold it over and drill a hole for our connection. I'll do it again here, and then this ear, it's on its way out anyway, so we'll rebuild this one as well. Then we'll rivet this back up into the car. It's only going into some other sheet metal just like this, so we'll be able to reuse this bolt as well, and hopefully that'll be our fix. So now this would be a quickie. Okay, told you it'd be quick. I actually used aluminum because it was in stock and this stuff is wicked easy to work with, and riveted it to this metal panel here. Made essentially a slotted hole on each one here, and then for this middle one, which actually the part came unwelded, 2 holes here, 2 holes in the car, and it's on a sheet metal, it's not actually in the body. Rivet this buddy in, and then we'll just bolt it right onto the panel here. So here's our new panel in place. Yeah, I hate working under cars, to be honest with you. It's right here. It's new. There's one new mounting point. There's another one up there. That's the one I had to rivet to the car. There's another mounting point there, and what I did as a kind of a bonus, because the other side is kind of flappy too, in the wind, even connected, as I actually bridged it with a 6-inch piece of aluminum here, riveted here, and then just a 1/4-inch screw here, pointy side away from the tank, obviously, but that'll give these a little bit more rigidity. And then we'll check it out in the spring, see how the aluminum's holding up. That'll fatigue quick if this vibrates too much, but